You think you know the truth about Chrissy and Jim Jones. Think again, because everything you thought you knew is about to be turned upside down. What if I told you the biggest treachery wasn't from Jim's adversaries? Rather, it came from Chrissy, the person he trusted the most. It's not just a little secret. Rather, it's the kind of bombshell that may destroy their entire universe. Jim is left standing after his family has just unloaded bombshell after bombshell, exposing a truth so twisted that it's difficult to comprehend that Chrissy's life is about to be revealed in a way that no one saw coming. What should you do when the person you love is concealing the most sinister secrets you could possibly have imagined? This isn't just rumors. It's going to be a full-on expose of. Stay tuned because, believe me, if you think you've heard the worst, you're not even close to knowing all you didn't know or could have imagined. What if I told you that everything you believed you knew about Chrissy was false? What if the ideal relationship you've seen on TV for more than 10 years was actually only a web of lies? But what if Jim Jones, the man who has relied on her for so long, is suddenly the victim of a betrayal so profound that it might destroy everything he has worked so hard to build? You will see Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin in a completely different light as a result of this truth bomb, which is set to detonate on the streets of Harlem and beyond. To put it simply, Cameron, who has supported Jim throughout his career and helped him through its ups and downs, just delivered a bombshell that nobody anticipated. And it's not just Jim who's the scandal involving Chrissy Lampkin is so big that it has the potential to ruin Jim's career and reveal the unpleasant truth that no one knew existed. You've seen the gorgeous images of the public appearances and the times of the Coderre couple's ambitions, but behind the scenes, there's a different narrative. Cameron's family has recently revealed the startling fact that Jim was unaware that we were discussing secrets so profound and sinister that they have the potential to bring down the entire house of cards. Consider Chrissy, the woman who has supported Jim for years, has been leading a secret life, and now that the truth has come to light, Jim must pick up the pieces. It's like a bitter blow to Jim and to everyone who followed their journey. This isn't just how did we get here. Cameron, a man who has never been reluctant to voice his opinions, has just torn back the veil and revealed the truth. This is real-life treachery at its best, not reality TV drama anymore. The truth about Chrissy's secret life. For years, Chrissy has been hiding behind a facade, portraying herself as Jim's rock, but her family has shown that Jim's trust was damaged by Chrissy's involvement in dubious activities, covert affairs, and even business decisions that you know what they say, you can only hide the truth for a very long time, and now it's emerging in the most spectacular way possible. Chrissy's life is more than simply a reality show. It's a complex web of lies that are hard to ignore. And Jim, he's the man left in the wreckage. He's been stunned by the treachery of someone he thought he could trust beyond all else. So let's talk about how far this goes. The secrets. There is far more business corruption, dubious transactions, and well concealed behind-the-scenes maneuvers that Chrissy is concealing than just infidelity or cheating. The world is watching as Jim's life is falling apart in real time, and Cameron, being the person he is, has just revealed everything. Let's speak about the first of many. For years, Jim trusted Chrissy not only with his heart but also with his business. They have collaborated on several joint enterprises and secrets involving money, power, and treachery initiatives, and even established an empire. But behind the scenes, Chrissy has been conducting her own clandestine business and using her position to influence events to her advantage, according to people close to the matter. Jim is now being held accountable for Chrissy's involvement in a number of dubious financial transactions that resulted in losses and poor investments, of which Jim was unaware. The worst part of these transactions is that they have threatened to destroy Jim's entire company while he stood by her, blindly believing her. And let's not forget about, we're talking about covert relationships, secret travels, and links to people in the personal side of this problem, which includes Chrissy's affairs and her secret existence that no one knew about for years. The weird part is that Cameron knew it all. His family had been aware of the situation for some time but had kept it to themselves. Jim wouldn't even consider the possibility of someone destroying him if they ever had the chance. Anything out of devotion to Jim. But now that the truth is out and they are speaking up, the guy who helped launch Jim's career has had enough, and the world is aware the truth about Chrissy's dubious activities and treachery. But it's not just about money and affairs. What Jim believed he had with Chrissy was devotion and trust. Chrissy, but now he is left to pick up the pieces of a profession that is set to fall apart and confront the fact that everything he believed to be true about Chrissy was constructed on falsehoods. So why is Cameron acting in this way and revealing Chrissy now, after all these years? Is it because of their past interactions, or is it because Cameron has now recognized the problem is that Cameron is tired of the falsehoods and won't put up with them any longer? Chrissy has been playing games that have caused Jim more harm than anyone could have predicted. Allow Chrissy get away with it any longer, he's taken to the streets, to social media, and now he's leaking all the details. Chrissy's secrets are out and there's no turning back. And as for Jim, he's been keeping the secret while Chrissy has been engaging in risky behavior. But how far did this treachery go? Was it about business? Or is there more to the story? Is Chrissy concealing something even more sinister? We're only getting started, so secrets Jim was unaware of continue to exist. The truth is going to ruin everything, and it hurts, doesn't it, when everything you've ever believed is destroyed? You were aware that everything you believed to be safe was falling apart before your very eyes, and Jim Jones is currently experiencing this due to Chrissy's profound betrayal. Lampkin, the person he believed to be his rock and whom he trusted, is being humiliated in the most public way conceivable, but the consequences from these revelations is only getting worse. Jim Jones, the hip-hop tycoon, is on the verge of losing everything he has worked so hard to build: his career, his reputation, and his entire empire, and it's all due to an individual, Chrissy. But the surprise is that she isn't only acting in her own best interests. Cameron's family has been subtly revealing the extent of this betrayal, which goes far beyond simple monetary losses and covert affairs. Chrissy participated in a network and an entire covert plan, and it's only now that the world is beginning to piece it together. Let's dissect it. Just manipulating strings behind Jim's back, she was playing both sides. Cameron, Jim's closest ally, had doubts about Chrissy for years, but Jim was oblivious to them. And let's be honest, everyone was enamored with the notion that Jim and Chrissy were the ideal power couple. However, now that everything is disintegrating, here's the financial scams that Chrissy was involved in are coming to light, and they are larger than anyone could have imagined. This is where things get sticky. In addition to hurting Jim, imaginary Cameron's family has revealed shocking information about dubious business practices that broke his confidence on a level that is nearly impossible to understand. Chrissy was serving as the gatekeeper, keeping Jim in the dark about financial decisions that ought to have been discussed, and Jim is now having to deal with the fallout from her concealment. For those who are unaware, Chrissy was the mastermind behind some dubious investments that Jim was unaware were being made in his name. Whether they were companies that stole off when the invoices arrived, Jim was left holding the bag owing to money, or dubious real estate transactions. According to people close to the matter, Jim trusted Chrissy with everything, and she took advantage of it. But what's even worse, Chrissy has been playing both sides and making agreements behind Jim's back with some of his worst FOs. Think about it, Chrissy, she should be Jim's faithful partner, has engaged in backdoor transactions with individuals who have always had Jim's best interests at heart. Her actions have been endangering Jim's empire. This is not just business, it is personal, and now Jim is left attempting to rectify everything. But the harm is already done. The public outcry is only beginning as the story gets viral. Fans and fellow celebs are weighing in, and the reactions are the most startling thing is that Jim's own group is beginning to turn away from him, despite the fact that some people are calling Chrissy a mastermind and others are calling her a villain. Uncertain of his allegiances following this shocking disclosure, this is when it really gets to Jim. He has experienced not only a personal betrayal but is also grappling with the public repercussions. Everyone began talking as soon as the news leaked, and as you know, once the truth is out, there's no going back. Now, Jim is compelled to confront his own public collapse while attempting to determine whether Chrissy, one of Jim's closest pals, was behind the scenes, pulling all the strings. Says according to insiders, Cameron had been warning Jim for years that something was wrong with Chrissy, but Jim was too distracted by he never thought the woman he had been dating for so long would be involved in such a plot. But suddenly Cameron is unable to control his feelings. Having a friend is one thing, trapped in a difficult circumstance, but when it puts everything you've fought for in jeopardy, you have no choice but to speak up. Jim is now facing legal issues, facing the very real risk of legal action or possibly government inquiries into The dubious transactions Chrissy was a part of in the event that it is established that she deceived him by using his name and resources to make dishonest investments. Jim might be held responsible for part of those obligations, and given the current state of affairs, Jim faces the very real risk of a financial catastrophe, but the public backlash is equally harsh. And fans who once admired Jim and Chrissy are now doubting their allegiance. How could they have been so blind? Jim's fan base is beginning to turn against him after being tricked into thinking this was a true love tale when it was only a game. For Chrissy, the response has been rapid. The world is now confronting the difficult questions of who Jim was actually working with for all these years after his reputation was damaged, and Cameron's family has gone so far as to reveal tapes that contain some of the most startling disclosures on Chrissy's double life. These leaked records are more frightening than anyone could have ever imagined. Chrissy speaking on camera concerning scheming Jim's reputation in an attempt to ruin his career by linking him to dubious individuals who were initially motivated to harm him. These recordings are nothing short of dynamite, and they have only served to increase public indignation. And let's not even discuss the current social media conflagration, in which everyone is contributing, from social media influencers to hip-hop artists. Fans are going crazy over the situation, and Shy Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin are trending for all the wrong reasons. One tweet says, "Jim, you've been played." Another comments, "Chrissy has been nothing but manipulative. Jim deserves better." However, we all saw it coming. There is a darker aspect to all of this, as people are now wondering how much of Jim's career was based on lies and whether Chrissy had any actual influence over it. With every fresh leak, the truth gets more murky, leading to legal action and financial catastrophe. Was she preventing Jim from succeeding the entire time? And public outcry are only the start of this disaster. It's impossible to predict how far it will go, but one thing is for sure, Jim Jones is already at a crossroads where he must deal with more than simply a betrayal of his heart but a total collapse of his kingdom. Now that we know how much Chrissy Lampkin has betrayed him, the question of what will happen next is still open as the narrative progresses. As Chrissy's romance comes to an end, Jim Jones must confront the terrible fact that he will lose not only his personal relationship but also his empire, reputation, and possibly even his freedom. Manipulations are coming to light, and what appeared to be a fairy tale romance has now devolved into a nightmare that nobody anticipated. The media and public backlash are spreading like wildfire. The circus around Jim and Chrissy is getting more intense every day, and everyone is watching. It's not just about Jim's profession anymore. It's also about friendships collapsing, trust being broken, and as the investigation goes on, Cameron's family has decided to provide more and more information about the possible devastation of all Jim has worked so hard to establish. Chrissy's dark secrets and what's coming out is truly mind-blowing. Stolen documents and sensitive recordings have surfaced indicating that Chrissy's involvement in Jim's financial mess wasn't an accident. Rather, it was the result of a carefully planned scheme to destroy his career and seize his wealth. But why did Chrissy? Chrissy was playing a long game and knew that Jim's standing was increasing, so she wasn't only in it for the money. Let's break it down based on sources close to the issue. And in order to ensure that she had a firm grip on his future, she planned several economic endeavors and investments, each of which was intended to drain as she wanted to be in charge, not Jim. But here's the twist: as more of Chrissy's dubious activities are revealed, it comes out that she stole a portion of Jim's riches while keeping him in the dark. Wasn't only planning to harm Jim, she was also covertly collaborating with people Jim had trusted who were taking advantage of him. This was one of the most startling revelations to ever come out. According to a recent confession from an unnamed source, Chrissy had been in continuous communication with Jim's competitors, using Jim's name to negotiate backdoor agreements that ultimately caused him harm. Lot more than simply a personal betrayal, it appears to be a concerted attempt to permanently destroy Jim Jones. As the legal pressure on Jim grows, the public is waiting for the fallout. Legal teams on both sides are getting ready for an impending court battle, and based on the devastating evidence, it appears that this could be Jim's last struggle. Jim might be subject to severe fines or perhaps criminal charges if Chrissy is found guilty of financial manipulation, which would not only ruin his career but also sort of incident. That has the potential to ruin lives, and let's not forget about the media frenzy, with headlines everywhere and people worldwide watching for every turn and turn. Jim Jones, Sir Chrissy Lampkin and Cameron exposes Chrissy are making headlines around the world, with both supporters and detractors taking sides. Some are calling for justice, while others are supporting Jim, are attacking him, asking how someone as strong and prominent as Jim could have been so easily tricked. But the questions aren't only about Jim anymore, they're now about Chrissy. The details are crucial to comprehending Chrissy's behavior, and it's becoming increasingly obvious that her intentions were considerably more nuanced than anyone had previously thought. Discovered that a number of people have come forward to disclose that Chrissy was connected to a number of dubious characters from the criminal underground in addition to being involved in financial schemes. Chrissy was meticulously managing his image while surreptitiously striking deals with those who were using him as a pawn in a far greater scheme, and kicker Jim had no idea who he was really connected with. Jim's once steady enterprise is now on the verge of collapse, and industry experts are cautioning that the financial harm could be irreparable. Jim Jones's future is uncertain due to mismanagement and potential legal repercussions, but the greatest tragedy of all is that he trusted Chrissy with Jim's mental state has been negatively impacted by the mounting pressure, and she betrayed him at the worst time. His heart, his business, and his future spent days in hiding, meeting with his legal team and attempting to salvage what was left of his career. But no matter how hard he tries, the damage is too great and the cracks are too deep. Even the most formidable fighters have periods when they question whether they can prevail in a struggle. Is this the end of Jim Jones as we know him? Chrissy has been keeping quiet. According to reports, she is making an effort to separate herself. But no matter how hard she tries to spin, the truth about her activities will eventually surface, leaving her reputation in ruins. The public is aware of the narrative, the walls are closing in on her, and the truth is becoming unavoidable. But does she care? Is she even concerned about the harm she has caused? Only time will tell. Will reveal that Cameron's family, who have played a crucial role in bringing attention to Chrissy's transgressions, are now seeking a thorough investigation into all of Chrissy's involvement, that Jim receives the punishment he deserves, and that they won't give up until all the facts are out. As the court battle continues, we can anticipate more startling disclosures, and who knows what is ahead for Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin is still up in the air, but one thing is certain, this tale will go down in history. What a roller coaster this has been. The dips and turns in this story are truly amazing. Will Jim rise from the ashes, or will Chrissy's web of deceit and manipulation kill him forever? Crazy, but the true question is, will Jim Jones be able to put his life and career back together, or will Chrissy Lampkin's web of deceit and treachery bring the truth is out, but the path forward is uncertain? Nevertheless, we would like to hear your opinion. Do you believe Jim has what it takes to overcome the chaos, or is this? Put your thoughts below and let's begin the discussion about whose side is right. At the end of his reign, is Chrissy really guilty, or is she being set up in a larger scheme? Don't simply sit there and leave a remark with your thoughts on this whole mess. If you're on Jim's or Chrissy's, the more we learn about this topic, the more questions we find. If you haven't already, make sure you ring the bell and click the subscribe button so don't miss out on the most recent updates. We've received even more shocking disclosures approaching you, and I promise you'll want to watch this video and be the first to know if you're looking for more drama behind the scenes, and tell your friends about it so everyone is able to participate in the discussion. We've only touched the surface of this astounding scandal, and you don't want to lose any time. What will happen to Jim, Chrissy, and the entire family? We'll be keeping an eye on every curveball, and we'll be delivering the truth to you in any way startling it might be. Subscribe and stay tuned, and ensure that you participate in this thrilling adventure that you won't regret. This is only the start, so let's continue the approaching truth.